Welcome back to the Irish Bandit channel, or if you're new here, welcome to the channel. I, as always, am your host, the one, the only, the second Irish Bandit. We're continuing on with ranking some of my favorite horror movie franchises of all time. Today, we're getting it down to probably my favorite. It was the one I was originally introduced to as a kid and kind of built on my love of horror movies from there. I was introduced to A Nightmare on Elm Street at a young age, and I'm probably about the same age anybody who gets into horror gets introduced to the Nightmare on Elm Street movies and Freddy Krueger in general. So, one of my favorites. I absolutely love this franchise. It has had a few not so great entries along the way, but we're going to talk about them today. Again, much like the Saw franchise ranking last week, I'm going to go through my ninth to my sixth favorite or least favorite. These are the bottom ones that I don't really aren't really great, but are by no means horrible by any. Well, maybe with the exception of what's coming in at number 9, but we'll get to that in a second. So yeah, here we go. We're going to delve into it. All 9 Nightmare on Elm Street movies ranked, and let's just jump right into it. Coming in at number 9, I thought this was a very poor send-off for Freddy Krueger. It was billed as the final nightmare, but it's like I said, nothing is really final when it comes to horror movies, maybe with the exception of Halloween Ends, but we'll talk about that another time. But this one was subpar. When Freddy's most extreme kill is pushing someone down a flight of stairs, you know he's kind of lost his bite. Coming in at number 9, Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare. So again, we're going to start with the things I loved about this movie. Robert Englund, first and foremost. You cannot go wrong with Robert Englund. He is Freddy Krueger. I mean, I've met the man. He's not Freddy Krueger. He's really nice and gentle and a really good guy, but he's synonymous with Freddy Krueger. Let's put it that way. And, anytime he gets into the role, it's just magic. I liked the idea. I like what they were trying to go for with this movie. Just with Freddie having a daughter from his marriage and trying to have her be the end of the line, I guess, so to speak. So I like the idea behind it. Other than that, things I didn't care for were the editing. Oh, one more thing I did care for was the co-stars in the movie. Breckin Meyer in one of his very first roles, Ricky Dean Logan, they were fantastic. Lisa Zane, Billy Zane's sister, she was great as Maggie, Catherine Krueger. Spoiler warnings around, but if you're watching this, you probably watched the Nightmare on Elm Street series. So the late Yaphet Kotto as Doc, he was great. I liked her at the time. I don't like her politics now. Leslie Dean. Yeah, I liked her in this movie, but after I got to know her and got to see some of her political leanings, I pieced right out of that one. So, so it kind of goes with the good, kind of goes with the bad. As far as bad goes, didn't care for the editing. I didn't care for the writing, and I didn't care for the directing. Rachel Tatalay has gone on to be a great TV director, but for this being her first major motion picture, I didn't care for the direction of this movie at all. She's gotten better throughout the years. I'm not gonna lie, I've seen some of the shows that she has directed, and they've been good, but this just was not it, because I felt starting with the series, she was like an assistant, I think, on the very first movie, and then 6 movies later, she's directing it. She just shot right up there throughout New Line, didn't she? But overall, I thought the story was bland. I thought the kills were ho-hum at best. The best kill in the entire movie had to be the Carlos's when he got the demon hearing aid and it blew his head up. That was fantastic. And then Spencer's death of being pushed down the stairs into a gaping butthole. That's the best way I could describe it. His death was not interesting at all. Maybe if Freddy trapped him in a giant bong, because his character was supposed to be a stoner, that would have been so much better. But the death we got for Spencer, Didn't work at all. I thought the ending was done really well. I loved the ending where Maggie puts the pipe bomb in Freddy's chest. He blows up and his head comes out a couple times and the demon sperm fly away. That's what they look like. I'm sorry. That's what they look like. Yeah. I thought the final line of Freddy's dead was kind of lame, honestly. But I love the montage at the end. They used a Billy Idol song, and it was fine. Overall, the movie wasn't great. It is my least favorite. Is it watchable? Eh. If I'm doing like a full watch through of all the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, then I'll watch it. I won't watch it on its own. There are a few others that I'd watch before it, including the one coming in at number 8. Now, this movie gets a lot of hate, but I didn't mind it. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't mind it. I didn't think it was fantastic, but I didn't think it was bad as everyone says it is. And honestly, I won't defend it from people who say it's bad. Coming in at number 8, A Nightmare on Elm Street 2010. So what did I like about A Nightmare on Elm Street 2010? I really thought Jackie Earle Haley did a great job given given the script he was presented with, honestly. I thought he did a passable job of filling Robert Englund's shoes. A lot of people are going to disagree with me on that one, but I still say that the problem wasn't Jackie Earle Haley. The problem was the script with this movie. Honestly and truthfully, that's how I feel. Another thing I liked about this movie was the atmosphere it gave off. It was very dark, which it should have been. It wasn't as jokey as the later Nightmare on Elm Streets turned out to be. He had a few one-liners, some that didn't make any sense whatsoever, but the ones he was given, they worked for the most part. I thought the story was okay. Like, I saw what they were trying for with this one. I just don't think it was executed properly. So, kind of shifting from what I liked to what I didn't like about the movie. The story was what I liked. The writing is what I didn't like about the movie. One of the things I didn't like about this movie. Another thing I didn't like was the cast itself. Some wooden characters. Jumping back to things I like, the kills. I thought the kills were really well done in this movie, especially that opening one that really makes you jump. But yeah, the cast, I really didn't. Some ranged from good, like the guy who played Quentin. He was in quite a few movies. Can't remember his name now. I want to say no. He was from 13 Reasons Why. That's not him. He was in the. Well, they were in both the most recent Scream movie, Scream 5. But no, I can't remember his name right. Kyle Gentner. That's it. Kyle Gentner. I thought he was okay. Katie Cassidy was okay as well. The dude who played Jesse, he hammed it up, honestly and truthfully. He hammed it up. And I think the worst performance in this movie had to be Rooney Mara. She was so stiff and wooden and lacked the charisma of Heather Langenkamp in the original Nightmare on Elm Street movie. Now, these were all different characters, but from like the first movie, so there was no Glenn, no Tina, and someone named Nancy, but not Nancy Thompson. It was Nancy something or other. I don't remember. But Rooney Mara had no charisma, was completely wooden, practically mumbled her way through any line she had, and she even came out later and said, "Oh, I didn't like that one bit." Well, why did you even agree to it? Honestly, if you didn't like it, why'd you agree with it? I thought Connie Britton was okay. She did a good job as Nancy's mother. But, Clancy Brown. I love Clancy Brown. Big fan of his for a long time. I thought the role he was given was good. He was a high school counselor and Quentin's father. I thought he did a really good job of it. But like I said, I like Clancy Brown. So it's no-brainer that I would like him in this. But yeah, I didn't mind the remake. It's not one that I would defend to anybody who said they hated it. You hated it? Okay. I can see why you hated it. I'm not going to defend it. I liked it myself, but I didn't love it. I don't think... Whereas the original Nightmare on Elm Street was so memorable, there was nothing, really nothing memorable about the remake. And I think that's going to be its legacy. It's like, oh yeah, wasn't there a remake of Nightmare on Elm Street? Whereas Nightmare on Elm Street, oh my god, yeah, that movie was so great, and this happened, and this happened, and this happened. Yeah, like I said, great, great. No, okay, sure, we can go with that one. A movie in the franchise that really was lower than what it is right now, but honestly, it got better every time I watched it, and I started picking up on a few more things on it. Still not the greatest, but it's not terrible. It's not as bad as everyone says it is. Has the first ever instance of a male scream queen, which is wow, but still not terrific. But it gets better with time. Honestly, the more I watch it, the more I appreciate it. Coming in at number 9. Coming in at number 7, Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge. So when it comes to things that I liked about the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, I'm not going to say Robert Englund every time because that's just a given. He's great in the role. Other things I liked about this movie is that this is before Freddy got jokey. He was still pretty serious, still pretty deadly. You didn't see much of him. Like, anytime you saw his face, it was always obscured by shadows until the very end. Like, there's one great scene where Freddy's talking to Jesse, and all you see are his eyes, and they're just so evil looking. And we've got a lot of work to do, Jesse. Totally, really, really fantastic stuff there with Robert Englund. I liked, what was his name again? He played Jesse in the movie. Mark Patton. I really loved his portrayal of Jesse Walsh. I thought he did such a great job. And like I said, he was the first male Scream Queen because at this time, this movie came out in 1985, I think. So it was still kind of taboo to be LGBTQ at this point. But Mark Patton has come out. He is LGBTQ. He is gay. And they kind of hint at that throughout the movie with some of the things that are done, and I have to applaud them for that. It was so well done and so, I don't want to say subtle because it was, subtle like a chainsaw, but but it was so well done and so integrated well into the movie. One of the things that I didn't like about the movie though is that Freddy didn't spend a lot of time in the dream world. They tried to cross him over into the real world, and I don't think it worked. That's one of my biggest gripes about the movie, is that not a lot was done with the dream world. Because I get what they were trying to do. They were trying to have Jesse be Freddy's physical form in the real world, and I just don't think that worked well. I think it's better that Freddy stays in the dream world, where he can go after the teens on Elm Street of the parents who killed him. So I thought that was better. Other than that, like I said, the more I watch it, the more I appreciate it, and the more it is actually really good with a really strong message to it. So definitely, if you watched Nightmare on Elm Street 2 previous and were like, no, this isn't me, watch it again, and then watch it one more time after that. That's what I did. Like I said, the more I watch it, the more I appreciate it. Still not one of my favorites, but I am growing an appreciation to it. This one is kind of I don't know how to describe this one. It weird because there were new casting choices in this one, and I don't know. The story just fell flat for me. Honestly, it's still a good movie, but I don't know, something about it just. Coming in at number 6, and the final film we're going to talk about today until the top 5, Nightmare on Elm Street 4. The Dream Master, that's it. I forgot the subtitle to it. There was honestly a lot to like about Nightmare on Elm Street 4, aside from Robert Englund, of course. he's Freddy Krueger, he's Robert Englund. Of course he's going to be great in this, of course. I thought the story was really good. I get what they were trying to do with it. I absolutely do. I thought the transition from Kristen to Alice as the Dream Master was so well done because I like Lisa Wilcox. She did such an amazing job in this and Nightmare on Elm Street 5. I don't like the change from, like, don't get me wrong. I thought Tuesday Night did a great job, but I will always associate the character of Kristen with Patricia Arquette from Nightmare on Elm Street 3. I think she would have done, I don't want to say a better job because that'd be discrediting everything Tuesday Night did in this movie, and that's not fair to her. She did a great job, but it was just kind of jarring because that, to me, that wasn't Kristen. That Patricia Arquette will be Kristen, but Tuesday Night did a great job as well. Other things that I liked about the movie, the kills. I thought some of the kills were so creative. My favorite one has to be Debbie's kill when she gets turned into a giant cockroach and crushed in the Roach Motel. I thought that was so well done. And the vision of Freddy's eye looking in on her in the Roach Motel. You can check in, but you can't check out. Was so well done. And okay, this is where I lean into the camp of, I thought Freddy got too jokey at this point. Like, we saw beginnings of that in Nightmare on Elm Street 3, but I thought it was done perfectly there. This one, they started going overboard with the hammy jokes and the just Freddy with the one-liners. Freddy was a ruthless child killer. So why have him make all these corny jokes? I just don't get it. I think one of the worst kills was in this movie with Rick's kill. He was a karate enthusiast and he got killed by a flying glove. I've always thought that was one of the dumbest kills in the franchise, but what do I know? I'm just a simple fan. But, you know, Nightmare on Elm Street 4 is where I don't want to say things start going downhill, because as much hate as it gets, I have Nightmare on Elm Street 5 high on my list. So, but again, I don't know why it gets so much hate. But either way, I thought Nightmare on Elm Street 4 was good. It could have done without all the jokey bits to it, but it was still a fun time. And again, Robert Englund shining through as Freddy Krueger. We had the introduction of Alice and Dan, and it was good. Not great, but one I do give a bit of a recommendation to in the series, and one I can watch on its own. 4 down, 5 to go. What do you think so far? Let me know in the comment section down below. I'd really love to read your thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. I'd really appreciate that. In the description, you're going to see a link to all the ways you can support this channel. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, and Reddit. You can support the channel by getting your Irish Bandit merchandise at my Irish Bandit shop on redbubble.com. You can purchase my very first novel, Shade Falling, on Amazon, and now you can buy me a coffee. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe, and if you're already subscribed, tap the bell and you'll be notified whenever a new video goes live. I've done this outro how many times? I keep forgetting it. I'll be back Thursday with my top 5 favorite films in the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. Friday, I'll be back with my final Dead by Daylight gameplay of the Halloween season, as I'm playing as Freddy Krueger once again. And then this weekend, I'll be back with more Blair Witch. So hope you join me for that. And then coming up this coming weekend, I'm ranking all 12 movies in the Friday the 13th franchise. I cannot wait for that one. Yes, I've now seen every movie in the franchise, so we're going to talk about them all, and that is going to be a big one too. So be sure to join me for that. Until then, talk to you again very, very soon.